There is one setting in Google Ads that can completely transform your return on ad spend, your cost per acquisition, and it varies business to business. So in this video, I'm going to break down with a pretty complex flow chart exactly how to set this setting based on your specific business. And on my screen right here, I have a business that was struggling to scale for a long chunk of time. And when we switched the bidding strategy to the exact methodology that I'm going to break down today, we actually were able to scale more than ever. We spent $80,000 to drive over $1 million in revenue for this business, which you can see right here. Now, I can't promise everyone gets results like this, but what I could assure you is that you're going to guide the algorithm in the most effective way possible. So the setting that we're going to be talking about specifically applies to performance max campaigns and a few other campaign types in Google Ads. And the bidding setting can be found in your campaign level settings. It is categorized under bidding, and it is the most basic question of what do you want to focus on. You have the then option to select conversions or conversion value. These two options are literally going to change the timeline of how Google operates for you. So what I've done for us is I've broken out all the hard work and understanding which exact strategy is best for your business based on the specific needs for your business. So let's break down max conversions first. Now, according to Google's actual white paper about maximize conversion bidding, we can break it down in a very simple summary where maximize conversion uses Google's AI to set bids to help you get the most conversions for your campaign while spending your budget. It uses advanced AI to optimize bids and offers auction time bidding capabilities that tailor bids for every auction. Now, this white paper goes through a ton of information, but what we really need to understand here is that maximize conversions gets you the most number of purchases regardless of the value of those purchases. So Google doesn't care if it drives a purchase for $2 versus $2,000. Now, on the flip side, max conversions value works very similarly, but it focuses on revenue as well. And again, reading the primary headline here on Google's own white paper, maximize the total conversion value of your campaigns within your specified budget with maximize conversion value bidding. And the key part of this is you define the value that you want to maximize, such as sales, revenue, or profit margins, when you set up your conversion tracking values in your account. And to make it even more clear for us fully to understand here, maximize conversion bidding attempts to generate the most conversions for a given budget, regardless of the value of those conversions. Maximize conversion value bidding attempts to generate the most conversion value for a budget. It may bid higher for auctions that would result in greater conversion value than auctions with lower conversion value. So it's using some predictive models here. Now, I know a lot of people might read that and say, well, I'm obviously going to go max conversion value. No doubt that sounds better. But there's actually some nuances that need to be considered here. So we're actually going to start on maximize conversions value. I'm going to explain who I think this is best for, some of the drawbacks with it, some of the actual best parts of it, but I also want to be very clear. It's not the obvious winner for everyone. If it was, then max conversions truly wouldn't exist. So let's start with the good stuff. First, when you run max value or maximize conversions value, this is going to eventually ladder up into a target ROAS strategy. You will have the opportunity to move this from just max value to actually setting a target ROAS. And when you do that, there's a little bit of a drawback. Something you should note is that target ROAS looks at a 30-day look-back window. So if you have bad performance for 7 days out of a 30-day look-back window, then the previous 23 days are actually going to account for a lot of the TROAS bidding, not just the last 7 days. This can be very confusing for people because a lot of business owners like to adjust their targets on a week-to-week basis or even a daily basis. But simply put, max conversions value eventually ladders in to target ROAS. Who is this good for? Who is maximize conversions value best for? If you have a lot of products and those products vary in price. You have some $20 products, some $50 products, some $200 products. Maximize conversion value is probably heavily leaning in the direction for you. What we generally see from maximize conversion value campaigns is a higher average order value. So it generally does a better job of finding customers who are going to add multiple products to cart or those higher value products to cart, not just the cheapest products on your site, which generally does lead to higher average order value. That also does normally lead to higher LTV. Now, that's not something I could say definitively, but most of the time, if someone's willing to spend more on their first purchase, they are a more qualified buyer long-term and usually can lead to higher lifetime value. Now, let's talk about some of the downsides here. max value is significantly slower in learning. So when you're just starting out in Google Ads, maximize conversion value is going to take a lot longer to learn than maximize conversions. Google now needs to factor in a third element, because in max conversions, Google is very much just looking at how much it costs to get someone to your website, better known as cost per click, and it's looking at your conversion rate. So it's saying it costs $5 to get someone to site, you have a 2% conversion rate, therefore our cost per acquisition is going to be met or not met. When you start to add in the third element, which is average order value predictive by person, that's when max value comes in play. And that just simply takes more time. Google has less information on average order value per individual. The other piece of max value is because it's using a predictive model and because it's looking specifically for qualified buyers who are going to buy more, you usually have higher cost to acquire the customers. So you'll usually see your cost per acquisitions go up, which could impact things like your lifetime value models, any cohort analysis that you do. But generally, it does lead to more qualified buyers long term. So it's kind of a seesaw where there's some benefits there. There's some downfalls there. You might be driving less traffic overall, spreading less awareness about your business, but you're probably targeting slightly more qualified buyers who are actually A, more likely to buy, and B, more likely to buy higher ticket values. And by the way, if you want these flowcharts that I have on my screen right here, they're 100% free down in the description. So everything on the maximize conversion value strategy is set right here in the conversion value setting. And once you set that, you're going to see the trigger to enable your target return on ad spend. My advice for anyone setting a target return on ad spend is to set it to what you actually need. So if you need a 2x, set it to 2x. If you need a 3x, set it to 3x. Now on the flip side, what happens if you're not going to use maximize conversions value and you want to use maximize conversions? Well, you simply switch right here and click conversions. And what you're going to notice right off the bat is this changes from target ROAS to target cost per acquisition, where we're actually going to be able to set a target CPA. Now, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Let's float over to the maximize conversions flowchart that I put together. So who is maximize conversions best suited for? It is best absolutely suited for single product stores. So if you are a single product store, you have one product or maybe two products, maximize conversions is 100% the way to go. And you should really be thinking about this as, do I think about my business from a ROAS perspective or a CPA perspective? If you think about cost per acquisition more than ROAS, you're probably leaning to a max conversions strategy. So in addition to single product stores, first, I want to mention this rips for subscription. If you're a subscription brand, again, caring most about your cost per acquisition and then your LTV related to that CAC, then yes, subscription equals max conversions strategy about 90% of the time. On the flip side, if you're a multi-product store, but all of your products are similar in price and you generally only purchase one product at a time from your store, then max conversions could be heavily considered here. Because think about it like this. If you only buy one kind of a product from your store and all of those prices are, let's say, $100 across the board, then it doesn't matter because no one's actually buying two, and you could have the algorithm learn significantly faster with a maximized conversion strategy instead of having it to focus on both value and conversions. Now we went through the basics of this, but max conversions ladders into a TCPA strategy, which I just want to be very clear about. If you're using TCPA and max conversions, you have to know your targets. You cannot try to look at the ROAS metrics that are related to a TCPA campaign. You need to very clearly set this up in a way where you know your cost per acquisition target, and that is exactly what you target all the time. If you tell Google you want a CPA, but you're looking at the ROAS, you're kind of confusing your metrics of what you're actually telling Google to go get for you. The biggest benefit of max conversions is that it is significantly faster at learning and it is much easier for the algorithm to adapt. Now, the great part about maximize conversions and even TCPA is that all it cares about is how cheap it is to get someone to site and what's the likelihood that that person is going to convert. Now, I want to mention something that is a huge red flag. When you're running maximize conversions, you can't just throw all your products in. So if you have a lot of products and you want to run maximize conversions, make sure your exclusions are 100% perfect. One of the issues I see all the time is that there's overspending on products that shouldn't be in the target CPA campaign. Once your exclusions are set, you're fine. But if you don't set up your exclusions perfectly, then what winds up happening, especially if you're a multi-product store, is the cheapest products in your store actually rise to the top because Google in a max conversion strategy doesn't care if your product's worth $1,000 or $2. And it's way easier to get someone to convert on a $2 product than a multi-$100 product. If you are a multi-product store with a variety of prices per product, then you're probably going to immediately lean to max conversions value. On the flip side, if you are a single product store or your products are very similar in price, then you might start leaning to max conversions. The easiest way I like to think about this is think about how you measure success in your business. If you care about cost per acquisition, run max conversions. If you care about ROAS, run max value. That's the easiest barometer for what to choose. There are some cases where we run both max conversions value and max conversions in the same Google account. And this happens because in some cases, there's a specific product or group of products that have a very high or even low price that we want to set a very specific target CPA for. And we'll actually run those separately from the farm of products, from the big lot of everything else. If you want to see how we implement everything and set up our full strategy, click this link right here where I go through everything A to Z on how to set up the best Google ad strategy for 2026. That's all for today. I'll see you in the next one.